is a Cosmic Octave original podcast.
Me and Jake running down the street with a handful of comic books, kicking ass and banging chicks and drinking booze
No, not
and
me.
smoking
Not
weed.
me. I'm
Oh,
married.
Yeah, well,
I'm married.
Jake.
Can't do that.
Yeah. Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler. Yeah.
Whoa.
I'm taking it to the streets.
Yeah. It's almost without fail.
Mm.
I don't cough or need a drink of water until we start the show. It's like
Mm.
it's like I Pavloved myself.
Pavlov.
We're not even a minute in and you're already singing, brother.
Ooh, when you call my name, I'll salivate like Pavlov's dog.
Ooh,
Roll
kind
it.
of digging it.
Rolling Stone lyric. It is.
What?
Wow, spit take. Too bad you didn't see it.
Well, there's too much electronics over here.
Yeah.
I had to fake it.
Yeah,
You pulled the
Fucking
curtain back.
Pull the curtain back.
108, by the way. 1 minute
It's
and 8
fucking too late.
seconds. Whoa.
I've already opened the
Whoa.
goddamn door.
You've already opened Pandora's fucking
Shit.
box.
Should we tell them who it is? I'm Tyler.
This is this is off panel off topic number 1.
This is off your fucking rocker, mister. Okay.
off your rocker, off your panel, off your topic. Off panel off topic number 145. I'm Jake.
I'm Bob Wigglesby.
Actually, that's Tyler. As the theme song would
I'm
tell you.
Senator John.
So this is going to be an interesting episode. So
Okay.
usually we're we're a little bit behind when we do X-Men 97 reviews because we
Some
usually
of our critics say we're way behind. You know what I mean? Like, you know, because they say we're cucks and stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, so we usually record on Tuesdays, post on Wednesdays. So we were always kind of a little bit behind on the X-Men episodes. We finally caught up because we recorded on Wednesday last week.
Yep.
So we don't have an X-Men 97 episode to review.
Not yet. But yeah, not till next week.
Yeah, we'll get that next week. Instead, we're going to be talking about Fallout, the show that just came out on
I didn't
Amazon
agree to
Prime. All 8 episodes were released. I watched it in 2 days. It was real fast. Well, it's funny because I watched the first episode
Is
with.
it funny?
Yeah. Well, we recorded that Wednesday, so as soon as we finished recording, I kicked you out of my house. I'm like, get out! I gotta watch Fallout.
Get out!
So I watched the first episode with my wife, and she likes it enough that she was watching a second episode and she's invested. But she knows like how big of a nerd I am with the Fallout lore and how much I love the games. So she's like, "Go ahead and watch it, and I'll watch it at my own pace."
Yeah.
Before we even get into it, so we're not going into spoilers, because Tyler hasn't seen the whole season. But I wanted to kind of just talk about. I do want to talk about the show, but I'll talk about it in vague terms. I won't spoil anything, but I will talk about elements that are happening throughout the season, and I'll talk about how they're impacting what I think could happen in the future with like season 2 and everything. But
Well, also, I've only seen the first episode.
yeah,
And we have been cooking up an idea to do kind of a one-off every so often. Do you want to announce it here, or
no, we didn't agree to this. I swear, every time.
Modern Mythology is going to be a one-off series from time to time, and we have a couple of different episodes coming up.
It's
one
going
of
to
them,
be its own thing. It's going to be its own feed and stuff
but
like
we're
that. So, yeah.
right, but we're going to kind of preview that tonight a little bit because Jake is going to try to explain the Fallout universe to me.
But also talk about the show itself. Like I
didn't agree
do.
to that part of it.
Well, for starters, this is like we've talked before. This is what's fun about it. It's like when Dune was coming out in Dune Part 2, how excited you were to be like, hey, you're gonna be watching these movies and you're invested in this thing that I've loved for years. Like it's cool. Like I've always joked about it where like it is that feeling of like it is the opposite of gatekeeping where it's like, oh my gosh, you're interested in this? Let me tell you about all the cool shit.
Yeah, and the thing too is like, and it's different because like the Dune, I didn't want to give too much away because I want people to experience it like I did, which is you read the book or I watched the Dune movie in the '80s first. Then later on, I read the book itself and was like blown away because it's so much deeper than the movie. And then you explore everything. Video games are a little different. It's an adaptation. We're diving into an adaptation of an existing video game franchise.
IP, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, it's crazy to think that we're getting, and we talked about on the Halo show. Just like we are at the era where we're getting so much diversity in video game adaptations and in the TV on streaming and stuff, because they finally understood at some point the best way to deliver these stories is episodic, because when it is you only have 2 hours to adapt an 800-page book, right?
Yeah.
If you want to do a movie.
Right.
But, with a show, and it's the same with the video game, you're trying to take a 15, 20, 100-hour story that you're trying to condense into a 2-hour movie. Well, it just doesn't work. So, like, of course, a 8 to 10 episode season, 1 hour episodes works so well, and that's what's so good about this show.
Well, there's
how well it uses that format.
Every one of these games, a lot of games use cutscenes, and they're Hollywood quality cutscenes. You have people, big name actors doing voices on these things.
I mean, the Fallout franchise
doing
itself,
mocap and shit. All that stuff. So what to boil it down, Hollywood is going, to boil it down, the TV and movie industries are saying, what pisses us off are video games. And why do they piss us off? Because people playing video games are not watching movies or watching TV. That takes money away from me. So how the fuck do I get all these video gamers to watch TV or watch movies?
Well,
the simplest answer, and thank God they've come up with this one, because the adaptations have been so far pretty fucking great, except for Halo. But
yeah.
But the two that I've seen, Last of Us and this one, are really good regardless of the game, because I've never played the games, but I'm still invested.
And that's that's the thing that excites me a lot about what this show is doing and why it's so important to nail it and get it right, because how excited I am. And this is what
it's kind of embarrassing.
There's a lot of this is what's the funny thing about the internet. It really shows you the duality of fandoms. There's some fans of this show of Fallout that are upset with some of the choices they make in the show, saying it messes with the canon and it changes things.
Is there a canon?
Yes, there is.
Okay.
But this does I'm of the mind it does not mess with the canon that think it does. And there's a whole thing we can kind of get into a little bit about it. But what excites me a lot with this is I have had multiple people who have never heard about or known about Fallout without either me mentioning it or they'd already played it themselves. Most of my friends that I've talked to don't really know about it. I only have like a few friends that have actually played the game that we talk about and shit. And so to have this show come out and see it catch this mainstream audience, and like same thing with The Last of Us, when you nail this and you tell because a lot of these stories are really fucking good. Yeah. And it's good to see that like people are understanding like, hey, we don't have to dumb this shit down. We don't have to make there's a built-in mature adult audience that knows this shit. Well, like if we do it right, looking at you again, fucking Halo. If we do it right, it's a win-win for everybody because you're pulling in. And you know what? I had two friends that have never fucking picked up a Fallout game, never even gave a shit, watched this show and said, I'm thinking about playing those games. And I'm like, yes! I'm sorry, but it's just like it's so fucking simple.
Break the system.
I'm sorry. I slapped the table because it's like
where's the damn soundboard?
It's a simple fix. It's a simple solve. It's a simple thing.
Well, you want to talk about a crossover hit
adaptation.
I mean, well, yeah, because I mean these stories are good enough to bring in just the non-gamer like myself. Like I I'll probably finish the series, but it's been long enough since I watched the first episode. I might not,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter either
Yeah.
way. The point is that I thoroughly enjoyed the first episode,
Mm-hmm.
and if I hadn't had so much shit to do the first day that I watched it, I would have kept watching it. But I had a bunch of shit. So the point is that it's a good enough story that draws me in, knowing nothing about the game,
Yeah.
not really caring to know any more about the game or play the game. That makes it, that's really cool. The story is so good and so layered that I want to finish it to find out all the shit. My brother is like, hey, ask Jake, are people supposed to act stupid in the game like this? And your
Yeah.
answer was,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing. This show, it is I would say, arguments can be made about how some people feel about the later episodes, but I think this is a picture perfect adaptation. I would hold it up against The Last of Us. I would personally even say more than The Last of Us. But that bias is because I fucking adore this franchise. So I love Fallout a lot more than I do The Last of Us. So I'm immediately gonna give it that edge.
let's go finish.
No, I mean the thought is like I want to talk about the impact of it.
Sorry.
I want to talk about the impact of
Yeah.
this show.
Well,
and
I wanted to raise one point before we
and
when you get to a point.
and kind of talk about the broader thing because I can't talk about much.
Mhm.
Fucking dick. But it's your fault.
It's your fault. It's your fault. Be mad at yourself.
It's true. Tell him, Shannon. Tell him, Shay.
Yeah. It's your fault.
Um,
Your fault.
It's your fault. I'm sorry I smacked the
told-
table earlier, but it was just like
What the hell?
it's so simple. It's like when James Gunn was talking about these are the comic books I'm reading that are inspiring the movies. Like he gets it. Like that's what's so fun about adaptations and why it may not do the things that you would want or the things that you as long as you can make sense in the world and not like completely abandon like this show nails the tone and what Fallout is. Like there's this grim seriousness and this like legit moral choices. Like there's some quests where I was like legitimately heartbroken of like what happened, And then there's like really fucking wacky shit where, there's aliens over here or there's these group, hey, the guy at the NCR, hey, can you kill these fucking thugs and cut off their heads and bring me their heads and I'll give you money. It's like that weird, wacky shit, and then the seriousness. It's always what I've loved about it, and this show gets it.
Well, look at last week's episode for any sort of, I mean, you could probably look at other episodes too. I just couldn't name them right off the top of my head. But last week's episode, when I just go off on the tangent about the storm stuff, I love that shit because I grew up with it, and
Yeah.
it's like, it's seminal like reading in my world. And yeah, it's very, 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 very easy for me to be like, well, let me tell you about this. This is cool. And just, and an hour later, like, what?
Yeah.
And literally, even though I listened back to it and I did explain it pretty well, but because it's so convoluted in itself, no
Yeah.
matter how you explain it, naturally, when I got done, you were like, I have no fucking clue. what
So
you're
I'll
talking
do the
about.
same thing to you. I'll kind of like brief because I
Well, no, I'm
want
saying like that. I get.
I want to answer some questions you may have, and I like
I have none.
I want to try and answer some questions that other people have.
Why does this show suck?
Because I want this to start being the conversation. This
Yeah.
is what I'm trying to do, and what I want to do.
Can I ask you
is hold on, just like let me fucking talk. I want to reach people like you that are probably never, and that's like I was watching things about The Last of Us, and Troy Baker, who was Joel in the game, he plays like one of the characters. I can't remember the name of his character on the show, but he was like Neil Druckmann, the guy who was a co-writer on that story, explained to him about the adaptation, and he's like, "What? We don't need a TV show. The story in the game was perfect, and like I'm proud of that story." And he's like, "I understand that, but we're trying to get people that will never pick up a controller, might never pick up a controller," and this show is doing that, much like The Last of Us did.
Yeah.
It has that crossover appeal because you know what, and it's the same thing you and I were talking about with Dune, and what made me latch onto it is because there is no denying the rule of cool. If it looks cool and it looks interesting and there's good enough, like there's enough story that I can follow that I'm invested in, I'm going to get sucked in. And like Fallout is ripe with that. It's got that 1950s retro futuristic look to it. It's
You know-
in our world, but it's in this weird, cool future. You know,
What do all the great franchises have in common, and what do the best franchises have that sets them apart from all the other ones?
Yeah,
We're first class world building.
yeah,
They built a world before they let you in.
mm-hmm.
They know
Yeah.
everything about that
Yeah.
world before you even get there.
Yeah.
And video game, book, movie, TV show, whatever. They build it so that it feels fucking real.
You want to escape. It's escapism, right? So you want to be, and you want to, yes, you want these worlds to feel lived in, and every fucking Fallout game feels like that, and this show feels like that because there's enough relatable, understandable things.
Well, there's human beings human beings are the characters, so you have to. I mean, you naturally relate because you're a human being. So you find yourself, what would I do in that situation? Whatever.
yeah.
And yeah, it's pretty fun.
Dude, you know what's so fucking cool to me about this story is the fact that we're getting a storyline where the main protagonist is a ghoul.
Yeah.
You don't get that in the games. Like you can't. So in Fallout, you're a human by default. You are in Fallout 3 and 4 kind of. So like what I love, what makes this a great adaptation, what makes this show so good to me is that it sums up what it's like to play a Fallout game. Usually, you start as a vault dweller because that is how they're going to introduce you into the world as this new factor, this new character into this world, and like, you know, lore explain why you're doing this, right? Which is what happens with Lucy. At the end of the first episode, she leaves the vault. Like, there you go. That's the intro to the game. You're out in the wasteland now. And then every episode up until the finale is exactly what it's like to play a Fallout game where you're going, I have one objective, one simple objective, get my dad. But every step of the way, there is a distraction. It's a side mission after side mission. And it's like, it's so frustrating or it's so funny because it's like, that's what the Fallout games are so good at environmental storytelling and so good at keeping you in the world that like you think you're just like, oh, I'm just gonna go retrieve this item, and then it turns into a 7-hour quest, like 7-hour side story, and you're like, what the fuck? But it's amazing. You know what I mean?
One of the first games that frustrated the fuck out of me, and one of the first best games, especially considering how much memory these fucking games had, but Metroid.
Yeah.
The original on the NES system. Dude, that game was all about like you have to get this before you can get this, but then you have to get this before you get that.
It's a whole genre. It's called the Metroidvania. Like it made a whole genre.
Absolutely.
Castlevania and Metroid, yeah.
Right, yeah, Castlevania is the same. Yeah, you have to get
it's backtracking and going. Yep.
And another great example, the Lego Star Wars, not the one they have out now, but the first one where it was all the first 6 movies, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, you can go back and replay levels as a droid, or because when you play it on story, you default to whatever character they give you, right? Yeah, or you have a team, whatever.
Yeah, it's like a New Game Plus.
Yeah, so but
called.
only droids can like fly and get up to this or whatever and open these doors and so on and so forth. So yeah, you have to. And the same thing with Castlevania and Legend of Zelda, of Metroid.
Yeah.
You have to play through some levels and then go back to those levels and get something after you get something over here. And then it's frustrating. But once you figure it out, and by the way, I used a lot of cheat sheets. What was it? Nintendo Power used to have like the first couple levels. They would just give you. Like map out the first 2 levels of like a new game and shit, and like it was just like, yeah, I'm gonna fucking do that.
So
I don't mind doing it if I have a handy guide.
There's a point in the later episodes where Lucy and the ghoul they run into each other in the second episode, and they kind of run into they're kind of with each other for a good couple episodes throughout the season. And there's one line that he says, or I'm like, you can clearly like. A lot of this is like you can clearly tell these are people, again, Paramount, pay attention, people that have played the games, and B, love the games and know how to fucking write in the universe. because he makes a line because she talks about like the values of the vault was always doing the right thing or whatever, and the ghoul he's grabbing her because he like captured her or whatever, and he grabs her and he goes, yeah, well, there's a rule of the wasteland, there's a commandment of the wasteland, thou shall get distracted by pointless bullshit or something, and like exactly that is what the game is these. But the side quests, I want to be very clear, are some of the best parts of the game.
Sure.
I'm just saying it's just that's what will happen. You're so engrossed in all these other characters in this world that you're like, oh shit, I gotta go find my son or whatever.
Oh
you know?
shit!
New Vegas is the exception where that one is you're just a character that's in the world that got shot in the head and somehow didn't die and got dug out of their grave, and then New Vegas is amazing. I've done videos on the YouTube channel about it.
You've done
But no, it's exciting that so many people that are probably never going to play the game. But again, I had a friend who was like, hey, I want to play these games. Can I play them on my Xbox? I'm like, yeah, you got Game Pass? Yeah, go ahead, check them out. And it just really, again, reminds me of how much more fun it is to be the total opposite of gatekeeping and be like, come on in, let's learn about this. And you're going to have disagreements in the fandom. That's what happens when you have people with different views and everything like that.
Yeah.
I mean, even this show is divisive amongst fans, you know? But just for me, I think they nailed the tone of the games. They nailed what it feels like to play those games. And I think it does enough to kind of explain the lore, but also doesn't. I love that it doesn't hold your hand. Because to me, that also respects people like me who know about the lore, played the games, you know what I mean?
Well, they give you
it's a perfect adaptation.
Yeah.
It gets a new audience, and it has a good story and keeps longtime fans invested. So I can't wait. It already got renewed for season 2, so I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
And another thing that makes me fucking laugh about Bethesda, they're the guys that they own Fallout.
Yeah.
They've been talking since like late 2023 about doing a current gen update, so updating Fallout 4 for PS5 and Xbox Series X or whatever. And they had to delay it for a while, and then all these like positive reviews come out for the show, and then they're like, oh, in a couple weeks here comes that update. I was like, have you guys just been sitting on this and waiting for people to be like, hey, we like the show, to be like, hey, Fallout 4. Hey, but you know what?
You guys are dicks.
Hey, I ain't too proud. I'm going to fucking get the PS5 update. Are you kidding me? And I'm going to play it again. I don't give a shit. I love these
They
games.
might add some shit in there.
But yeah, I want to do another video where I actually break down the show itself and the episodes. I want to do something to that effect because I like the idea, and that's the whole idea with the modern mythology and things like that.
Let's get into it.
I found that I like educating people. So
You should become a teacher.
no, I just mean like I want to educate them.
I meant about video games and
On-
shit, not
well-
real life shit.
Well, because I don't know about you, but I don't know. Sometimes when I'm in bed and I don't have a book to read, I'll just pull up some lore, just like, and it doesn't have to just be Fallout. Most of the time, it is something like that. But it's just like,
Oh yeah, I'll pull up Wikipedia
Oh.
and look up something.
what's this random character in this, comic book series, But for me, it's like, yeah, it's a Fallout thing of like, oh, Caesar's Legion, because of the show, I've been playing New Vegas again. And I have a funny story about that. So all the different factions, there's this one that like is called Caesar's Legion, and they model themselves like around the Roman Empire, like that kind of hierarchy. Like it's a dictatorship. They treat women like shit. It's a slaver society. They're not good people. And I was like, I want to get the achievements for it. And I'm like, I'm committed, man. I'm going to do Caesar's Legion. And it made it even funnier because I made a female character and they don't treat women well. So I'm like, it's more ironic to play through this, I guess. Also, she's, I never played as like, because you can do different stats, right? And I've never done a dumb character where I literally gave this character 1 intelligence, but 10 luck. So I got like crazy. Dude, I win fights. I win so many fights.
You made a female Elon Musk in your game?
I call yeah. I made this I gave like she's so funny because I made her like a melee. So I'll just punch dudes' faces into like that shot of Ares punching a dude's face. Yeah, I could do that with some of these weapons because the melee's overpowered or whatever. But I was playing it the other night, and I was gonna do I was committed, dude. I was at a point where I'm like, I'm going to do the Caesar's Legion playthrough. It's gonna happen. But then I hung out in that camp a little too long, and I literally saved my game. And I'm like, all right, because I need both of these achievements. I'm like, I'm gonna finish the Mr. House playthrough right now because I can't deal with these Caesar's Legion guys. And if I feel like it, I'll come back and play it again at this level, or I'll just make a new character and start over. But I've played that game so many times. I also was dabbling into Fallout 3 again. I've played that. I've literally sunk hundreds of hours into those games. So I hope.
Are you finished with your monologue about
Well,
Fallout?
I mean, we don't even have a full episode, man. We're only 25 minutes in. And I was going to talk about Fallout for 3 hours.
I know.
I spent hundreds of hours.
I was
those
thinking
worlds.
we'd do something a little different.
I don't want to do anything with you.
Where we could do more of a back and forth. So.
You don't want me just fucking soapboxing? Soapboxing
Well, I'm
with
just
Jake,
kind of
scrub a
chilling
dub,
over here, and
scrub a dub, soapboxing with Jake.
kind of thinking that maybe
You want to take you to the... Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so.
Okay,
So I come into this. My exposure to Fallout. I know about Vault Tech because I've seen like stickers and whatnot. The guy with the thumbs up. You have 2 Vault Tech posters on your wall.
Yeah, because I have 2 copies of Fallout.
The same one, or are they different? Posters?
One for Xbox. Oh no, yeah, no, they're from all the perks you get in the game. Yeah, they're both from Fallout 4.
Oh, I thought it was a map of the vault.
No, it's the perks you get in the game. So Fallout.
Because you ever played those games where you have like an
Yeah,
underground vault and that's how it's side scrolling?
Well, GTA, the GTA games used to have the maps that you take out of the booklet. I used to have those too. Well, it was a poster on one side, or you could flip it, it's a map.
I don't know anything about Fallout other than that, and when I happen to notice that the game's coming out through some way or another, I don't know. I don't know how many there are. I know of New Vegas. I remember when that came out, and it was like, what? All right, whatever. Because it's a pop culture thing. You're aware of it, like being aware of not Taylor Swift, but things like that. I don't listen to Taylor Swift, but I'm aware of her, and I have been for a long, long time.
Well, I think it's mostly because of me. Were you aware of it at all before we?
I've been aware of gamings.
No, I mean Fallout in general.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, just because I think the kids, I had stepkids for a while, and I think one of the kids had like the Vault Tech sticker on something on one of his control or whatever his dresser. I don't know, furniture, some sort of.
You had seen it somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, they. I think I don't know if they played it or not. I didn't really bug them like, hey, what are you playing?
What you're playing, fellow kids?
Very cute. Yeah.
It's your cool day.
Most of what I remember them playing a lot is Minecraft and what the other fucking
Roblox.
No, it's the other one where you had the bus.
Fortnite.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fortnite and Minecraft were the two that I and the
Makes
roller
sense.
roller the soccer game with cars.
Rocket League.
Rocket League. So those are the 3 games they played mostly.
I play a lot of Rocket League.
But they must have had some sort of Fallout something somewhere because I
yeah.
the
but
I'm
last
also,
one was 76, and that was a multiplayer game.
as a gamer,
I hate that game.
As a comic book fan and a fan of fantasy and science fiction and things like that in general, being in comic book shops and everything, I'm gonna be aware of stuff like that. But most of what I don't know is just that it is a thing. That's really it. So I did about a month ago, just for the hell of it, I looked up the Fallout TV series on Wikipedia. And now this is not... I've done this before where I didn't see a movie, but I wanted to know what happened in it. And the Wikipedia page will give you the plot.
Yeah.
Like the entire thing, right? And so I went and looked at it, and at this point, they don't have anything on it. And it's mostly just conjecture. I didn't, not conjecture, but it's before something comes out on Wikipedia. It's usually like the plot is like a paragraph, or the what is it called? The setup or whatever,
Yeah.
like what's going on, and that's what it was. And then they had some little small things, and little small things about each character, like a couple of lines about who plays what and why and everything. I didn't want to go to the game and learn any of that stuff. So all I know after reading that is that the vaults are all experiments.
Mm-hmm.
Every single one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we've established that.
Yeah. And they do play with that a lot in this show. And
Is 33 is 33 just an arbitrary number they picked for the show?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when you are in the game and you said that almost everyone except for New Vegas, come out of a vault.
Yeah.
Does
it's funny because the first Fallout is the whole plot, and this is the only game that has this of the series. The first one is like you are in a vault and you have to leave the vault because your water chip is damaged and you only have like so many hours left of water in the vault before you run out of water or something. And so it's like 13. Or like it was some weird number. I can't remember the number. Again, I never played the first two Fallout games. And if you like those first two, great. I'm sorry. I'm doing my best to recap what I know about this. Don't
what's
fucking
the
scream at me.
deal?
No, I'm just saying those Fallout.
Are they just really low quality or what?
No, I mean they were made in the 97 was the first one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the next one was 98. So these were like isometric. It was an RPG, but it was more turn-based.
Yeah.
And I played it I've only played the Bethesda Fallout games.
Gotcha.
So Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Fallout 4.
Yeah.
And so that changes it to like 3D, and it's not turn-based, it's action. So like there are elements where they call it VATS, where like you can like slow down time and pick your shots and do
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
kind of a blend of live action and turn-based. But so that first game is about the water chip, and you get that, and the ending is kind of fucked up because you get the water chip, you bring it back, you save the vault, and then the overseer's like, well, you've been exposed to the irradiated world. We can't let you back in here. You could get somebody sick. So they kick you out of the vault. And it's like, that's so fucked.
And that's the end of the game?
That's it. I don't know. Again, this is just rough outlines of it. So there's these. They don't show it in the show at all, but there's these big hulking, like green and yellow skinned things called super mutants, and I don't have time to think. I don't have time to tell you about the lore about the fucking super mutants. But again, this is like is Fallout 2 is more of like taking that because they're in the first Fallout game too. But Fallout 2 is like you deal with this character named the Master, and you try and
Is Fallout 2 a direct continuation?
So none of them are. Every Fallout game is canon, but it is in different parts of the timeline, and there's a bunch once because it was originally owned by a company named Interplay.
Right? No.
And Bethesda bought them, and so then there's been some arguments about lore in the later games. But so yeah, Fallout all the Fallout games have their own separate storylines. They're all, and that's the thing. The show doesn't follow any game either. So the show is in canon. But and that's what's so freeing about these games and why the show works so well is you could do that because every game is just different parts of the United States that are, and again, of course, New Vegas. And New Vegas actually uses like real places. Fallout 3 does too. Like you can go to, it's called the Capital Wasteland. And so you can like go downtown DC and see there's missions where you are literally like doing like, National Treasure, where you're finding the Declaration of Independence and shit. It's amazing. Like, there's so many great things about that game. So, like, my point is, each game is different. Each game has its own story.
Okay.
But the whole like broad thing of like the reason why it looks like it's futuristic is in this universe, the transistor never existed. So that's why all the tech looks like 1950s, but the year's 2077, because that's just how. It's the alternate timeline, the alternate history of it, and that's another reason I fucking love alternate history shit like that. So,
Oh, me too.
And so, like, the big conflict is, instead of Russia, we're fighting with China, because China gets so far advanced because everything is nuclear power, the cars, everything. So that's why in the games, why you can't drive any cars, because when the nukes dropped, cars won't work because it's all nuclear power and fusion cores and all that. I know. But
Well,
It's a long way-
Watchmen is one of the
Yeah.
best comic books ever because it is an alternate timeline.
yeah, and there's like tons of cool things, and in the show they reference things like Anchorage, which is an actual battle between China and America after America annexes Canada and has a fight with China over resources on Alaska, and they called it Operation Anchorage and shit like that. And there's like a whole DLC in Fallout 3 for that. And like that's what I mean. These things are so lived in and like crazy of how much detail is in them, and how, like you said, how dense it is. Like before you even start that game, there's so much shit that you can just find and learn and be like, oh, wow, there's all these other things. And there's still things that people are finding in games and stuff that I had never heard about. Like, what is that,
Yeah.
And, yeah, I I don't know what I did the Storm thing with you. But the thing that
One of the
can I do say without spoiling what I am worried about with season 2? And this is what bothers me or worries me about it, because those games are so open-ended, and other like Fallout 1 has a definitive ending with you leaving the vault, but I think every other game like on has alternate endings because you can make different choices and side with different factions and whatnot. But here's the issue you're going to run into, because the show is canon and in universe, you're going to possibly, and based on where I think they're headed, you're going to have to canonize choices. So you're going to have to say, the canon ending is this faction wins this fight. You know what I mean? Instead of the player choice. So it's going to be interesting how they're going to navigate that for season 2. Anyway. We falling asleep?
No.
We can move on.
No. What I was gonna say is that when like Donkey Kong Country came out, no, but what we would do is this is way before the internet. So what we would do is like 4 or 5 of us would sit around and we'd just get really high, and we would try and beat the game.
With
So,
bongos.
but everybody would take their turn. Like okay, like we're doing this level on the roller coaster with the mine cars and shit. Okay. All right, well, it's my turn. Okay, and then it's Jeff's turn, and then it's Paco's turn, whatever. But we're trying to beat the game, and like I think that kind of stinks that I think Nintendo Switch still kind of has that kind of element of it. But I think with the internet giving, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of benefits to it, way more than whatever. But I don't think you get that as much as, you used to with actually being at each other's houses. But the flip side of that is that you can play with somebody who's like half a world away.
Yeah.
But
I really wish that Fallout 76 was better than it is. And people tell me like, oh, and people keep saying like, oh, it's great. And I'm like, that's great, man. But
which one is that?
That's the most recent one. And that's the one that's multiplayer.
When did that come out?
2018. But, there are many YouTube videos by far more talented people than me that you can watch explain that whole story, because it is a debacle. Like, it is truly a clusterfuck of mistakes that game. Yeah.
Huh.
Everything pre-release, everything post-release. It had this redemptive arc, but I think that's the thing I hate most about the video game industry right now. I think too many games get released that are broken and are terrible, and then post-release, after they've already been like, oh, that's our $60 beta testers, here, let's finally fix the game months later to get a new player, you know what I mean? And that game suffered remarkably because it is just could you make a good multiplayer Fallout game? Sure. Sure. I'm not saying you couldn't make a good.
I don't believe you can, but sure.
No, it's possible. But what they were trying to achieve with this, I just don't think works with Fallout. And I think a lot of at least what I understand of it, and at least my experience with it, is the more appealing thing of Fallout is to talk about each other's choices and the things that you did differently in your own stories, not necessarily playing it together. I don't know. It just didn't appeal to me. And I tried multiple times to play it. I think the community is filled with really like generous and nice players. Like I was a really low level and some high level person gave me a bunch of health packs. They call them stim packs. And I was, that's another thing I wanted to mention about the show, but I'm all over the place. But like, it didn't appeal to me. The games itself, I feel, are more appealing to play the game, have your choices, and be like, what did you do in this situation? And that's what's so fun about role-playing games and in general.
My thing was that, my role-playing game involves leather. No. I just thought it'd be funny because we're talking about role-playing. But...
So happens and the whip comes out.
All right.
Hey, what's the deal? That's the whip.
What's the deal with stiletto heels?
They're in my balls.
Oh, Kramer.
I'm getting backsacked.
Newman.
They've turned it off.
Role playing. So when I was younger, I was big into like role playing RPG, like Steve Jackson games, like D&D type, but they were all, like you rolled dice to create a character and wrote everything down, and then you like that. But nowadays, my role playing like video game is like Madden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now Madden, and I do kind of cheat on Madden.
You can't let this out. You can't put this business in the streets.
What?
They can't know what you do to Madden.
Yes, I can.
Yes, they can.
Way to make them think that I fuck the game. Jesus Christ. They can't know what you do to Madden.
They're gonna sound like
I'm
you're having sex
I made
with John
you actually
Madden.
do spit take. You could have just let it fly too. You let it just dribble out your mouth.
John Madden.
Turn the goddamn thing up. Leave it up. Where's the what? Anyway, did you get anything? Well, you're like, I can't let them know what you do to Madden. No, but what I do is
Turn the sliders up.
well,
and
no,
you cheat.
A couple things. First thing, like where
No, I didn't mean to do it that time.
well, it's funny and accurate. No, the
Oh no, the giggles.
so wherever the Vikings suck. Whenever I start a new Madden franchise, okay, because I do franchise mode, right, or Dynasty, whatever it's called now.
It's Dynasty in the
Sure.
college football game.
I never do online gaming. In fact, whenever I played the game, the kids always played with what was it, internet on, and I always played with it internet off.
Xbox, yeah.
Right, or Xbox Live, whatever.
Yeah.
I always turn it off because if I would have started the game with Xbox Live on, it would have fucking fucked all of my rosters. Because it would have, you know what I mean? It would have automatically downloaded and updated all the rosters, what have you. So I always had to do that first of all. So I think it's a cool idea in theory.
Well, it's fun to
But
play.
in
I've played it
practice,
online.
there's so many fucking bullies and shit, like in the online gaming community. So whatever, I just don't do it. Then, so the Vikings suck at quarterback, say, which they do right now. So if I started playing Madden right now, I might make myself the quarterback, like a 20-year-old, dude from Iowa, and yeah, it'd be like 6'4", and just make yourself like a Hercules and shit. And then I turn all the sliders down. Yeah, so I win the Super Bowl every year. But
So I win the Super Bowl.
well,
Hey,
I do.
You know what?
I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe I win the
cheat. I
maybe,
cheat at
maybe I
Madden.
do.
I cheat at Madden very, very.
Maybe fuck yourself.
But the thing is like the role playing part for me comes in the off season, and that is when guys retire. You have to, look at your salary cap. Well, who can you afford? What kind of guys can you get? You got to go through the draft. Did you hit in the draft? If you didn't hit in the draft, well, that's, whatever. Anybody who watches NFL knows exactly what the fuck I'm talking about without playing Madden.
Yeah.
But that's where my role playing comes from.
Oh yeah, there's a theory that
I still role play. It's just very, very real world role playing.
I think it was
My other game that I like to play is Wall Street Broker.
So it was I think it was the G4 when they came back briefly on their YouTube channel, but they explained that football games are RPGs for sure. They are.
Yeah.
Because you choose a role, owner, coach, player, whatever, then you make those decisions. Do you relocate the team? Do you fire this coach? Do you sign this player?
Right.
Do you whatever it is? But
now in general, like in like say Dynasty mode or franchise mode in the college or Madden games or whatever, you like if you played it a lot more challenging than I do, you might get to a point where you're the coach and you get fired, right? Like I did it to a point where they're never going to fire me unless I quit. So I do you can do up to 30 years in franchise mode on Madden, right?
And at that point, you're bulletproof. So you're like,
I'm ballsy.
Yeah. Did
What?
you play another one? Oh, I thought
Oh,
you did play another
there
one.
was a longer one. I fucked it up. So.
But the point is like in Fallout, I would always ask the stepkids. I would always ask one of them, what's the point of the game? What are you trying to get to? Whatever.
Yeah.
Now, to me, whenever I've only done 30 years for real in Madden, and I skipped all the games, obviously, but I've only done it a full 30 years once, where it said, "Hey, good job, you're done." That's all it says. It just says, "All right, good."
Oh,
you did
okay,
it."
there's no more data.
But what I'm saying,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that, the ultimate end goal in that is,
Winning the
I
Super Bowl.
guess, every year,
Yeah.
and it changes every year. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it resets
Hall
every
of
season.
Fame or whatever.
So it's still it's a different kind of RPG, but it still is. And it sounds like the best kind of RPGs to me, like Fallout, are the ones where you can, if you wanted to, like me, cheat and just fucking go and do it the way you want to, or you can do it in a challenging way like you probably do. I don't know why. Well, I want to stress myself out with video games
let
too.
me be clear. I had a friend.
just kidding.
I had a friend ask me like, "Hey, did you ever play New Vegas on hardcore mode or like Fallout 4 on survival mode?" I'm like, "Fuck no,
No.
no,
No. I mean, I'm not
Hey.
saying that, but you play it on regular mode. You don't,
No, I know, but
I'm sure there's little toggle switches that make the game easier in every game.
well, it's like hardcore mode, survival mode. It's like you got to remember to eat and drink and watch your radiation levels and all that. I'm like,
Jesus.
I got to do that in regular life,
I ain't gonna do that.
especially the radiation one. Hey, yo.
Hey,
Uh,
we live in New Vegas,
I
motherfucker.
don't know, man. I feel like I wish, but
Did
then
you?
that would mean
Yeah, that's what I
nuclear
thought you'd
destruction.
say. You wish. It fucked up, dude.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about some comic books. Talking about some comic
books. Yeah, comic book dealing. Taking now the comic books to the streets. And everybody come. That was the worst Doobie Brothers song ever.
Scooby Dooby, Ruby
Scooby Dooby.
Hey,
Ruby
we're doing Defenders number 3
Oh.
because we've been doing that one first usually. Or number 4, excuse me. Defenders number 4.
Number 4.
Stop it. But come on. What are you doing, Cohagen?
Come on.
By Al Ewing and
I want by Al Ewing and Javier Rodriguez, and I think we also got to talk about Dave Stewart, don't we?
Don't we?
Well, he's like the guy.
Nah, he's no Paul Acequita. We'll talk about him with Punisher.
No, it's just, I think Javier Rodriguez does his own covers, man, or his own colors,
Oh, okay.
which makes it even more impressive.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think once we're done with this, I do want to just focus on Punisher. And,
Yeah, we can do that for a while.
wrap that up.
We can do that
because
for a while.
that's 12 issues.
Yep.
This is only 5.
Floyd.
But this has been such an interesting juxtaposition with these two books, whereas like this book is very colorful and bright and gorgeous
and fanciful.
And that one
if
is,
you will.
and then the Jason Aaron Punisher run is more gritty and gory and violent and
And
grotesque, but
ground level.
but also amazing art.
Both are blessed with
Yes.
great writing
And-
and great art.
Also, both are completely different tonally, and a great
You said
juxtaposition.
tonally with an N, not totally.
Yes, tonally.
For those
Because
of you
it
like
is-
me, who for a second were like, "Did you just say totally?"
because it's still this like psychedelic space opera, magic
Science Cohagen.
mixture concoction.
Action.
So this
Why?
is chapter.
Why?
This is issue 4, the fourth Cosmos. They keep going back in time. This is the Lovers. So where we ended up with the last issue, they were saved. They chased Zoda out of the fifth Cosmos,
And Harpy was the last.
'cause she let out a big. She took Strange's uncontrollable magic and launched it in this big giant beam and killed Moradun. And then they fell to the fourth Cosmos, and she's back to looking like Betty. And then
But
we
she
see
was-
Hulk, but it's 4 faces.
The third was from Harpy's point of view, and this one is from Cloud's point of view.
Well, I was explaining.
That's what I
or
was
in the
saying.
story, but
Well, that's what I was saying.
yes,
Yeah.
this one's from Cloud's point of view. That again, continuing the theme, and I'm gonna assume it's the same in the next one. But we see Cloud upside down, like we've seen every character's point of view from each.
If you notice, also, if you go back to the first issue, every one of the cards that he pulls is the whatever reversed,
Yeah.
which is in tarot the card upside down.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So
the cups reversed.
So
Shoot.
Cloud kind of explains that their main power is really love, and they're a character that was made out of love of two lovers, and that explains why they have a female appearance and a male appearance, and
So this
they're also used as like, well, you know, all
Cloud
these
is a
languages.
singularity,
Yeah.
which is basically a black hole, or a sun. I can't remember which one.
A black hole sun?
Where?
Black
hole
hole
sun,
sun,
where'd you come? Drop. Okay. So I thought we were gonna do the whole thing.
Yeah, I had to stop.
I thought we were gonna do like our mouths were gonna get big, and then our eyes were gonna get big, all freaky like and shit, freaky deaky. You know what I mean? Like we used to say in the '90s, freaky deaky.
That's back when they had music videos
That's
on
when
MTV.
they had music videos.
What's cable?
But they came to Earth, or this entity came to Earth, and the first thing that they do kind of explain it in here better. But the first thing that they encounter, the first feeling or whatever, is these two teenagers making out on a country road. And so they say, okay, that sounds good to us. Or whatever it is. And that becomes becomes them. And they
a female and a
yeah,
male.
they become each other, whatever. And so yeah, Cloud is an interesting character because this is the first real book that I've ever read with the character in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they use
that Eminem ad is pretty fucking dope.
I know, right? They use Cloud in an interesting way, like you're saying, is like you would think with it being this black hole or this dying star or whatever exactly they are.
It's a cosmic entity, basically, is
you
all you
wouldn't
need to know.
think like it would
It
have
bonded with these two kids.
You
Yeah.
wouldn't think it'd have this the power being about feel and understand. So they understand and they start to understand the four-headed Hulk.
It's a cosmos but it's a cosmic being in its infancy, so it's still learning.
Yeah,
But the way they filter their
this whole thing is like, again, the art is just bananas. Like, what am I even looking at? You know, because you see that Strange is using the eye of Agamotto, and like I've never seen. Again, I've not read a lot of Doctor Strange books, I'll be honest, but I've never seen it portrayed like this, and it's really cool.
Yeah,
and how it just, again, the way that it moves on the page, and like that's something I really love about the story and what I love about the art and why this whole series I think they've complemented each other is like this book has a great way of not wasting any real estate on the page. Like everything, like every piece of white space is filled. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I like about the art, Javier Rodriguez's art, is back in the day there were some artists who would draw, pretty heavy lines in a panel to show movement or to show something, being thrown. And to be honest, you can do that without lines if you're a good enough artist. But here's my thing about it is that I kind of like that old school. And whenever you saw like the Masked Raider and the thing that is, or whatever the Galactus archetype at the end is, fighting, there's very heavy like lines, like showing like forceful,
these big like
Right.
scale.
Let me
Like they look
kinda-
like kaiju.
Right. Yes, exactly. But where is one where it's just crap?
I just had it open, you
I-
bastard.
No, it's not but you show like these, like the Wham, like that.
Yeah.
And then him getting big and getting knocked out, and it's just very, very heavy stuff. It's very heavy stuff, you see. And the art is just really, really cool. But the thing that really turned me on about this issue when I first read it was the way that they called the Hulk.
Oh yeah.
The 1 is 4.
Yeah.
But then what came out after that is this it's basically, and if you could describe it for us because it's cool. It's basically 2 humans and 2 elements.
No, that's ridiculous. It's a silly thing. I'm trying to find the page.
It's yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it turns into this like weird.
But I believe
square
it's
of-
so it's Invisible Woman, Human Torch,
okay.
Mr. Fantastic, and then Thing.
Yeah.
So
like
the
a
4
rock.
is 1.
Yeah.
But the 1 is 4 and the 4 is 1. That's their name.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool as fuck.
And then it kind of just starts to portray the Marvel universe.
Yes.
But the characters that we know, but they look different. Like
They're called archetypes.
the archetypes. And then we get again this series being meta and weird and being like, oh, these fights happen all the time. A tin man or a man of metal will fight this colorful,
With a
patriotic
shield.
looking
Yeah.
guy.
And there's a dude with horns and a blindfold.
and a dude with
A little
furry,
of it-
a fucking Wookiee with no eyes and
Claws.
blades coming out of their hands,
And a dude and a thing with fire with a lightning cloud head
or
and a hammer.
a clear devil that looks like a female daredevil, and it's just. Oh, and then the cool reveal of it being Zoda is that they see Doctor Doom wandering
Where is
without a
my face?
mask.
Where is my
Where's
face?
my face? My face?
See, that's what I love. Like when you were saying last week that this, when you said it, because I've thought about it, this would make a fucking amazing animated series.
Imagine this is an animated
amazing.
series,
It would
dude.
be amazing, dude.
Just like
Amazing.
just do it issue by issue, and
I don't care if you adapt it fucking word for word. I don't give a
you can
shit.
make it. You could believably make this into an animated.
No, I'm saying like a
You
lot
could-
of adaptations want to be like, I want to do it my own
do
way.
it.
Fuck you. Draw it and
Tyler.
What?
do what DC does. They
Yes.
they have done it where they've taken 5 issues. They've taken much longer arcs, and found ways to adapt it into a
Generally,
movie.
the-
You could make this into
Generally, the DC
uh,
adaptations are faithful adaptations of the comic book stories. Yes.
you could make this a
I agree.
fucking amazing animated series, or animated movie. I would love to see it. But yeah, so then we get an explanation of what the Masked Raider, the Eternity Mask, and what that does, and what the power gives him. So we find out that it makes him the size of this Galactus construct.
It gives you the power of the thing you're fighting.
Doesn't let you
gives
beat
you
it.
right. It gives you an equal chance of winning or losing.
You have to still
But
use
again,
skill,
if you're about to fight a kaiju, you become a kaiju. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, or if you're, you know what I mean, you become that.
Yeah.
You have that chance, and next issue we'll see even
If
more
you fight
of how
Captain
that works.
America, you have
We'll see even more of how that.
you
works.
have Captain America's abilities.
No, you would
You're durable enough that you could fight him.
whatever you would
He
need.
wouldn't punch your
whatever
face
you would
into
need to
oblivion.
be able to survive a fight with Captain America
Sure.
or Wolverine
Yeah.
or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how that works.
But anyway, like you're talking about the POW and like the stars that are around him, like just
There's very old school 50s style to Rodriguez's artistry. And
dude, it's like an
the-
acid
where
trip.
does it say like where does it where's the part where it's on a face where only Mama Zoda could love?
Yeah.
I fucking love Taia, dude. I fucking love her as a character. She is so all the quotes, the way she talks,
yeah.
I can only hear her saying like, you know, there's your mask, Mr. Magic, on a face only Mama Zoda could love, and look what shoulder he's playing parrot on. I don't know. That sounded stupid.
But it sounded
It sounded cute, looked cool. It sounded
So
stupid.
then Cloud.
But I just like her as a character.
So Cloud becomes another, has another exist. I don't even know how to describe it.
So did you ever? Okay, so Star Trek 4, real quick. Star Trek 4, they have to find the whales, right, to communicate with the probe, or else the Earth's going to get destroyed. And he says, Spock's like, we have to find these whales. He's like, where do they exist anywhere else? Like, no, just on Earth in the past. And he's like, well, can we respond using, you know, the sounds? And Spock's like, we could respond, but we would be the words, but not the language. We would be responding in gibberish. And at the beginning of this issue, they ask Cloud to try to communicate with the 1 is 4.
And
The
it's-
Hulk
It's
like.
just there's no words. It's just highlighter.
She tries with a green marker, basically,
Yeah.
and he comes back with a black marker, like, fuck you.
Yeah.
And that's when the 4 is 1 comes out and puts him in a invisible bubble to
Yeah.
protect him.
And
or
then
whatnot.
then they.
But it's a
talk.
very comparable thing where they're like, hey, can you talk to it? And she's like, Cloud is like, sure, I can try, but I'm
Yeah.
probably not. And inside, she's like, I don't know what I'm saying.
they.
They don't ever refer to.
They say they in the last issue.
Do they?
They said we prefer they.
Clearly, at the end of the issue, they go from two. As far as I remember in the comics, and in the first couple of issues of this series, they can be the teenage boy or the teenage girl at any given time.
Yeah.
But
there's this third entity.
But it
There's a
looks
third
like at
entity.
the end that a third non-binary
Yeah.
entity kind of
Woke.
comes out of the center. Yeah, I know.
Who fucking cares? But then we get
Al
that.
Ewing clearly has what I really truly do believe that Al Ewing has a great way of reflecting back what society is giving him. And with Gamma Flight and Immortal Hulk and this series, especially this issue, it's clear that he is showing the world. I don't know. I don't want to put words into Al Ewing's mouth, but I do know that he's very good at representing the plight or representing what somebody who is transgender might go through or might be going through, or how, I don't know. It's definitely representation whether he wants it or not, because I can't say. You know what I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming the way he writes with such compassion about it,
Yeah.
I would assume that he is for it. Like
Yeah.
he's
Well,
not transphobic.
And what I think is cool about it, so we have the three entities of Cloud, and then they're all talking, but each time they talk, it's color coded, and that's so cool because that's a running theme throughout the book. And then you see like the big moment that what is so good about this being a silly, like, I love it because it's this again psychedelic meta weird roller coaster, because how this is resolved is Cloud says, I'm telling a change that's no illusion, a growth that never dies back, a future can you hear? I hear it. So the Captain America archetype is talking to the Iron Man archetype, and it's love. Love is talking to them. No more fighting each other. Now fight for each other. And we're seeing like, oh, this is the moment of the big crossover comic where all the heroes stop fighting each other and then they fight a bigger threat because it's a team up book, And like, again, I love that like meta commentary on it. And also making sense in this story of like, of course. And then it goes even further in the meta where they pull you out of the panels of the friggin' book at the end of this issue. So you're seeing this other multicolored faced entity, and you literally get a half-page splash of the characters walking out of the panel of the book that you were reading. And that's what I love about comic books, because I think it could work in TV or movies in like another medium, but it just works so bizarrely well in a comic book.
This is
you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is what. So based on the series, what I'm gathering that Al is talking about, or what he envisions as the different cosmoses, cosmi, whatever, cosmosi. I don't know. Cosmoses. Cosmoses, and you and me, and a couple of Sundays driving up to the cabin in the mountains. All right, so
How do you go on? Continue. What am I gonna say to add to that?
what I'm envisioning is that each one is like a previous period of storytelling, maybe seemingly specifically to the Marvel Universe, but kind of like, I'm not sure exactly how to describe it, but clearly the ideas, maybe, I don't want to say like the 1960s or 1950s or whatever. I don't want to say that. Or, eras or anything. I want to say like before the ideas were concrete. Because the final stage, the final cosmos that they're getting to is, I think, it's got to be the third cosmos now?
Yeah. Yeah, because they were just in the fourth.
Yeah. So the third cosmos is the very basis of all stories completely, and their universe,
And
which
now it's
is
the man with the multiverse.
it's a gigantic fucking dude who's basically a Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, whatever, the hero, the archetypal hero, fighting the archetypal dragon. And that is what they're watching.
Fang Foom?
No, just whatever. They're watching the very first, the very epic, the very essence of every battle, which is good versus evil, embodied.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I really can't wait to read the final
Super
issue
exciting.
But
But
figure, because I'm really interested in the Masked Raider, because I had known nothing about that character.
But think about, okay, so the Marvel Universe as whatever cosmos, because we keep hearing eighth, but we know it's whatever. Current Marvel Universe is whatever. They go back one, it's Galactus when he was a baby, so his, whatever, and it's all science. They go back another one, it's all magic. They go back another one, it's all
feelings
just feelings.
and archetypes.
Yes, and the ideas are starting to bubble up as, embodiments. Like, here's an Iron Man and here's a Captain
Yeah.
America, whatever. Then they go back another one, and it's completely just basic. Here's a fucking good guy. Here's a fucking bad guy. They're fighting. That's it. There's nothing else in this, cosmos. That's all that's happening here, forever in this cosmos until it ends or goes in, whatever. I just
They
think
gotta get this Zoda guy.
I just think it's interesting, and in Defenders Beyond, they go beyond that.
You don't say.
Way to go, Tyler. Tyler, time for a Punisher.
Come on.
I don't know.
It works. I love it, but come on.
And you shall know he is the fist of the beast. Number 4,
Punisher.
Aaron Saiz Azakita Stewart.
Dun, 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 dun.
Is it?
Punisher.
Is there something on top of my goddamn comic book cover? Goddamn.
Is there?
I don't know, man.
There is. I'll get you a new one.
Oh, I don't care. Oh, I'm just kidding. So we start off, and what is clearly happening is Frank. We've already established last issue that Frank is a fucking complete fucking crazy nutball. Just likes killing.
Killed a man when he was, what, 10?
Yeah.
I think it was the last issue.
Yeah, but that guy.
I mean, he was a shitty person, but see, this is what I love about this series, because it plays with the duality of the Punisher.
The
It's still not,
dichotomy, yeah.
even though that guy's a shit person and a scumbag and beat those people to death, it doesn't mean it's okay to kill him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Well, by the end of the issue, we'll see
Yeah.
exactly. And and next issue is even better. But you know, it starts off and he's doing the day's executions and stuff, and there's the flashback and whatnot. And these guys come in and they went to Ares and they said that Ares made us pray to him. So she.
The last issue, Ares killed a bunch of the hand.
And
The
was like, "I'm
priest,
coming for him."
and the priestess is bringing them in to basically have Punisher execute them.
Yeah.
because
and he's like, "Why?"
because
and she said, "Tell them, you know, and tell them, you know,
they made
you
us
turn our backs on the beast."
and we prayed to Ares, like he said. Which again, what I think is so interesting about this run
Yes.
is this isn't the first time they've kind of played with like supernatural elements in Punisher, but I think this is one of the most interesting ones because this kind of harkens back to his Thor run a little bit and the God Butcher, like, because I love that Jason Aaron likes to incorporate like the fact that like, hey, there is a Zeus and there is a Hercules and all these Greek characters do exist in the Marvel universe, and like to have one of the main, at least this part of the series, one of the main antagonists be Ares, the Greek god of war, is fucking cool and not something I'd expect in a Punisher book, you know?
And it yeah, absolutely. And he's like way more ruthless and bloody and bigger than he's really been in
he
any
looks
other
like a god.
Yeah, he looks like, and it's fucking cool actually. It oftentimes throughout what Aaron's trying to do, what Jason Aaron's trying to do early on in this run, and by the end of the run, you'll really truly see the big picture that he's trying to go for. And what he says at the end of the run is, you know, I'm not going to say it, but he puts a whole thing like, this is why I did this, and but he's deconstructing what the Punisher is always. There are these people. There are police officers who are lionizing this fucking sociopath.
A murderer.
Yes.
A murderer.
A murderer. Regardless of
Mass murderer.
Regardless, you are the police and you are supposed to believe in law and order and the justice system, not vigilantism. And you see this where it starts off, this is the most basic example. You show panels of him killing these dudes, slicing their heads off. And each other panel is repeatedly abused and exploited underage, slice, ordered ethnic cleansing of the entire slice, raped and murdered civilians
Slice,
while serving in slice, his own children, slice. And then a couple pages later, stop. They're just as fine as they are. We need all the men we have, even though she wants him, you know what I mean? She wants him to kill these ninja.
Yeah, she tells him to kill them because they didn't die in battle and they should have died in battle. And then, don't kill them. We need them. So it's
Does
like,
that make Frank a good person?
exactly.
No. And
He's
this
selfish.
Yes.
He's doing this because they brought back his dead wife. He's selfish.
All these cops that fucking use the Punisher as their fucking whatever, their avatar bullshit, they use this bullshit example of, look what he's doing, and then, hey, he's not so bad. He doesn't kill everybody. Motherfucker, it doesn't matter that he doesn't kill everybody. He's still a fucking murderer.
Yes.
And
yes.
that is, yes.
So Zack Snyder, if you ever bring up why do I not make Batman kill, because this is what Batman would become. Punisher is Batman that kill, and like this is a man that doesn't even, and this isn't even like he's rich or anything like that. He just
driven. He's just driven.
He's just driven. And yeah, he's ruthless, and he and
so
you can't have that moral code, and that's what I
No,
love about
exactly.
that's what I love about this book is it shows you that you can't, he cannot, and there's a reason, and I love that Jason Aaron's point is like, you are missing the point
These
of
jackasses,
this character. He is not a good person.
Right.
He is an anti-hero.
Yes,
He is not.
Yes.
The mistake was he got too popular, and people, like, again, with
Completely
all
missed
of
it.
these characters,
Yes.
it's happened. You know, it happens with comics, and like this is again going back to that and being like reminding you, like, hey, this is a guy who, for one, shouldn't have taken revenge on these people, regardless of what. Like,
Sure.
it's terrible what happened to his family,
But that's it.
But you know, in a perfect, you know, maybe have that revenge story, fine. But the fact that he continues on and continues to kill and kill and kill instead of using his expertise and his abilities to help law enforcement, he takes vigilantism is not good.
No. And if
Even
you're- and-
Batman
and
is a
if
problem.
If you're a fucking cop worth your goddamn salt, then you should be against any sort of vigilantism. Anyway, so his wife starts freaking out because she's
She
wondering
never
where
leaves.
Yeah, she never leaves. Why aren't we in a park and everything? And while Frank is dealing with her, Ares decides to pop into the belly of the beast itself in the comic. She tries to kill him at one point, and he's like, haha, you can't kill me because I'm just a
astral projection.
you dumbass.
Spiritual form.
But he basically makes fun of the god, which is funny. He's like, your god looks like he could have a cheeseburger.
That's
shit.
Yeah, but that's what I love is like
I'm the god Frank needs to worship.
I need to look into research on Jason Aaron and be like, does he have any sort of like, did he go to school for theology and shit, or is he like really interested in
He's
it?
just
Because
really fucking
the
smart.
fact that how he's is not an astral projection. He is interrupting a prayer.
Right, yes.
He's picking up.
That's right. That
dude,
is fucking right.
This is
Read it.
This is.
Will you read it?
But this is one of the best things about this.
I fucking forgot about
incorporating Ares into this, incorporating this mythology to the Punisher, and doing all this because of like how fucking good Jason Aaron is at writing mythology.
Yes.
And
I forgot, yeah.
And so instead of you usually think with Doctor Strange that it would be an astral projection. No, it's his spiritual form, and he says pretty much because she's in the thing that she showed Frank, right?
Yeah, she's in where the god is, that big fat turd of a demon.
Where they worship their god, and he
I don't know if it's an actual god or a statue. I don't know.
He says, "I interrupted your prayer," and basically what he says is like, "I answered the phone."
Yeah.
So I love, and I've never heard that idea before, and I'm sure it has existed.
Right, she's
but
praying
the
to her
idea-
god, and he interrupts. Yeah,
The
right.
fact that a god, or the fact that how prayer works is that way. It's
Yeah.
a call, and he says all these other gods started ignoring it, but then I started accepting it more because then I could build up wars brick by brick, and it's like, god damn, that makes so much fucking sense.
Yeah.
Because throughout all of mythology, Ares is a dickbag because he's the god of war. He
So-
wants war.
Yeah. It's so on so many levels. So at the end, they calm her down, and he puts her to bed or whatever, and the priestess and Ares talk and shoot shit with each other and basically talk shit to each other about. He basically says like, hey,
How did you do it, witch?
Yeah, you're turning her. He doesn't know about Maria clearly.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's wondering, how did you do this? How did you do this? Meanwhile, rather, I'm sorry, not Maria, not his wife. He's fighting Lady Bullseye and Lord Deathstrike.
Yes.
And
that's when he awakens his beast power, his
the
fist
first
powers.
stage is what she calls it.
His
Yeah.
eyes start flaming red flames. His dagger's flaming. His fist is flaming. And
He
like,
basically
he throws-
incinerates Lord
yeah,
Deathstrike.
and she's like,
Lady
oh,
Bullseye's like, holy shit.
he is the fist of the beast or whatever.
So then at the end, the priestess, she said, you are these ninja that you let live are the same as you now. And she said, and he says, what do you mean? And she goes, I killed their families in front of them while they watched. And he has this look on his face, and then the next panel, he's waking Maria up, and he's covered in blood.
Yeah.
And he's like, we have to fucking go.
Yeah.
So clearly, he didn't really like that.
Which again, what do you mean, Frank? And God damn it! And
Oh, now you have a code about people being murdered, Frank?
I love that from this is a 12-issue series. I love that from issue 2, you're getting the perspective of what Jason Aaron is telling you, and what you should be understanding about this book is the people that idolize Frank Castle
Are sociopaths.
not good people. And it's so well done. And then the fact that she took his like, again, if we're calling a fucking spade a spade, Frank, you're still killing people. What difference does it make?
Yeah.
And to take that and be like, to a literal level, and be like, okay, you're more determined when you want something, right? So, yeah.
You're
And
more
then-
determined because your family was
and
murdered
then
in front of you.
Those people
Let
that
me
she
murder
did that,
these people's family in front of them, and then they'll be just like you.
and then And then she gave him his colors. They were the black and white robes. Like, oh shit, like,
And of course he's pissed, and it's just like,
what do you mean? What do you mean?
you live and die by the sword, Mr. Castle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's yeah. What
What do you expect?
Yeah,
What do you expect?
good stuff.
I mean, yeah. So
I love this series, man. I'm really digging it.
you know what
It's
time it is?
it's time to kiss.
Those critics, they're right. We're a bunch of beta soy boys kissing all the time.
Beta, that's me.
Me and Jake are just beta.
Beta boys.
We should start a boy band called Beta Boys. Hey, how come?
It's a long box.
It's a long box. Take your boxes off. Take your boxers off.
Wow. All right.
Tyler, do you want me to go or you go? I don't care. You go.
Well, let's stick with the theme. I watched. I'm not going to do Mississippi Burning this week. I'm going to do one, and it's going to be The Magnificent Seven, starring Yul Brynner, James Coburn, Charles Bronson. Let's see who else. Steve McQueen, Horst Schmedlap. I don't know his name. His name is Horst. Shit. Horst. He's a German actor, but he plays like a Hispanic in the movie. Okay. Of course, because he's got an accent and he's kind of brown. So, well, he's got a great tan and he's swarthy. Let's make him a Mexican. That's how Hollywood worked in the 60s.
Yeah.
Look, the guy who plays the bad Mexican villain is named the real name of the guy is Eli. Now, I'm sure now that there are people of Hispanic descent named Eli, and I'm sure there always have been. But I'm not sure that Eli Wallach was Hispanic. I could be wrong. However.
You must be out of your goddamn mind.
Cha! So, this movie is it's about these Mexican villagers, and they keep getting bullied by this guy. And basically, what happens is this guy, I can't remember his name, but Cavarnos, I don't know, whatever. But he has this gang, and he basically rides through Mexico stealing shit. And every time he comes through the town, it's usually on the way up into the mountains to hide, because the heat's on, or it's coming down out of the mountains to go steal more shit. And both ways, when they hit that town, they're hungry, they're tired, and they want some liquor, and they want some ladies.
Yeah.
So they just take everything they want, right?
Yeah.
They've gotten to the point now where the villagers have sent all of the women in the village away to live somewhere else, in secret, because they're just so afraid, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of them taking their women, right? And we know what that means, and that's
Yeesh.
right.
Yeah.
So, they're like, we've had enough. I mean, what do? We can't fight back against this guy, and we're sick of this. So they go up to close to the border, and they end up witnessing this one guy. They go into this town, and these drunk guys, these really drunk salesmen, are like, hey, why won't you drive the hearse with the dead guy, in up to the cemetery, up to Boot Hill? And he's like, well, is it a question of money? No, you paid for it. Well, what's the problem? And the guy, the undertaker's like, well, there's certain elements in the town that won't let him, Joe, be buried up in Boot Hill. Why not? Because he's of Indian descent, or he's an Indian. He's Native American, whatever. Oh, well, okay. Well, that's fucked up. That's really dumb, man. Listen, I paid for it. And he's like, I'm not going to go up there and get my stagecoach shot up, okay? And I'm not going to risk my life for some dead Indian, okay? So Yul Brynner and Steve McQueen separately are kind of hanging out watching this. And Yul Brynner goes, give me your scatter gun to this other dude. And he's like, I'll drive it. And Steve McQueen's like, I'll ride shotgun. Give me your other gun, And these two random dudes are just badasses, and they're like, fuck it, we're going to make sure this guy gets buried. They drive up there, and of course, these 5 dudes from the town come out, and they're like, hey, listen, man, you know.
Yeah.
And they just blow them away and just fucking make them look like idiots. And they're like, you know, get them in there. And these Mexican guys are like, hey, you can really help us. Like, we need your help. We don't have like any money, but you can help us get guns. And, you know, they're like, hey, and he ends up recruiting all these guys he knows, like Charles Bronson and James Coburn, all these other guys. And of course, they're like super alpha dudes, right? You know, like every time you see one of the new dudes,
They're just fucking macho.
yeah, like he's just, you know, or he's just so cool, you know. And trust me, the movie works. Like, you really do see it. You're like, wow, these guys are cool. The problem is that most men have watched these movies and been like, yeah, to be a man, you gotta win a shootout. Like, no, dumb fuck. God, you
gotta be the stronger guy.
you stupid. Yeah. Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Now, at the end of this movie, they give their lives so that these Mexicans can live in peace from this guy. Because they kill off the guy and they kill off the gang and whatever. They drive him away, like, for good. But they, like, basically, I think out of the 7 guys, like, 3 or 4 of them live. And one of the guys ends up staying because he used to be a farmer. That's his story, the German actor.
Yeah.
And it just occurs to me that every time you see these movies where these like alpha douchebags, like, you know, idolize the Punisher and shit,
Mm-hmm.
and you see these things and these movies that these alpha guys like, oh, that's what being a real man. Granted, I can change a tire, but I can't change my oil. Granted, I wish I knew more basic shit,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
I don't know shit
I
about
think
cars.
I think more humans should know that stuff.
Yeah.
Not just cars, everything. How to cut down a tree properly. How to, you know what I mean? How to start a fire. Shit like that. Survival stuff, right?
Well, I don't know about you, but I know that don't ask Billy Joel to start no fire.
I think it's important for people to know that. Okay, God. Because we didn't start it. Because we didn't start it. So, but I mean,
I wish you guys could have seen his eye roll.
I think we, you know, should learn those. We should know those basic survival skills, not because the world's going to end and we need, you know, whatever, grid's going to fail. No, but because we should just know those things to be well-rounded human beings. But these guys have taken it to mean that you have to be the biggest giantest douchebag and the most bigoted and the most misogynist. And if you watch any of these movies, the heroes are anything but bigoted or misogynistic. In fact, they are the good guys in more ways than one. They see injustice, and even though it has nothing to do with them, they take a fucking stand.
Yeah.
And I want all of those people to lionize these things, but still like beat their wives or even say shit that's just
yeah,
wrong.
yeah, yeah.
Okay? Just low key. I want these guys to understand that you're wrong. And you're doing it wrong, all of it. Stop lionizing the Punisher because of this, and stop misinterpreting the message of the Magnificent Seven, which is might does not make right. It's justice makes right. And if you see injustice, you're supposed to help stop that injustice from happening. And if you don't, or if you cause it, or if you jump on the side of the oppressor, you're a dick. The end. Tyler Allen, 2024.
Wow. So this long box is going to be a little negative.
No way.
No.
No.
I'll hold off on something more positive later. But in the next episode. I wish I had a doctor that to the next episode job. That's not what I was going for at all.
No, that's
I
the
recently
voice
watched-
that sings after he says, "You just chill till the next episode," and then in the background is, yeah, there's a lady.
So
Do-do-do-do.
I recently
Do-do-do-do.
shut up.
Do-do-do-do.
Stop it. I recently watched Matt Vaughn's latest movie. Matt Vaughn, Kick-Ass, Kingsman, his latest Argyle. And I'm upset with this movie on a few levels because, look, I'll be honest. He also did Layer. Like, I like Matthew Vaughn movies. He did X-Men First Class. He did Layer Cake. He did Kick-Ass. I like those
Layer
movies.
Cake is fucking underrated.
I love Layer Cake. And so I like his movies.
First movie I ever saw Daniel Craig in.
Oh yeah. It was like
It
that
was
was
Layer Cake.
literally right before Bond. Like right before he got the Bond role. Like a year or two before that.
Yeah, I mean, I knew of him for a while before, when he was
Yeah,
up for it.
but-
I was aware of him more than some of the
But
other.
but anyway,
I knew about him before.
jeez, whoa. So the problem, when I think of Matthew Vaughn, I think of Guy Ritchie. I think of a little bit, and I don't want to.
Well, Guy Ritchie produced Layer Cake.
Well, I'm just saying and like the Tarantino vibe of like, and I don't want to compare them because they're all different filmmakers with different, I'm not trying, but they're the kind of guys that like really have to like, they really like to put a lot of spin and style into their movies. And I'm not saying that's a problem. I liked the first Kingsman. I thought the second Kingsman was meh. But like this movie, Argyle, really would have benefited if Matthew Vaughn would have pulled it back a little bit. Much like how people felt with Taika Waititi in Love and Thunder. I think you could say that about this movie. Because I liked so much about Argyle, and then it hits a point like in the third act where I'm like, I started to be like, man, this movie just really fucked itself. Like, it's crazy. There's sometimes when you're watching a movie and you see it completely kill its own momentum, and you're like, what happened here? So like this is in the trailers and stuff, and like but one of my problems with it is there's way too many plot twists at the end of this movie where they have one really good plot twist. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Holy shit. And then it gets undone for an even dumber plot twist. And I'm like, oh my God. And we'll get there. But so Bryce Dallas Howard, you have a weird thing with her. What? I think you were mad that she did those Mandalorian episodes in that Boba Fett show, maybe. I think you were mad about that. But
No, yeah,
Yeah, you
maybe.
gave-
no.
you gave-
I think Bryce Dallas Howard as an actress and an ingenue.
I will say this.
And director.
she's really good
fantastic.
She is really good in this. Sam Rockwell is really good in this.
Yeah.
The parts where it's Argyle, but it's acted out as Henry Cavill and John Cena and like those characters, I like. In fact, I think the meta like Argyle story that she's talking about is more interesting than the movie itself. And most of that first, I don't know, 2/3 of the movie kind of goes with that, and I kind of dug it. But then it gets to the third act, and it gets completely out of control, and it has silly twist after silly twist after silly twist, and then has action set pieces in it that look like they were cut scenes from fucking Kingsman. Because did you ever see the first Kingsman?
No, never seen any of them.
So because of the tone of that movie,
I have no desire to see any of them.
I mean, I enjoyed the first one, but because of the overall tone of that movie, when you get to the third act, there's a scene where like world leaders are getting their heads blown up, but they're popping off, and it's like very colorful looking. It's silly, it's ridiculous, it's over the top, but it made sense for that movie. And it didn't. There's a scene in this movie where they are straight up, and I shit you not, throwing like smoke bombs out a hallway, and they're different colors, and it's Bryce Dallas Howard and Sam Rockwell. They have like gas masks on, or like the mask so you can see through the smoke and whatnot. They are literally, they said, let's dance, is what they say. They were literally doing a dance, like dance numbers, like kicking grenades while they're like doing their little dance and things like that. And it's just like so out of place for this movie and where this movie was going for a majority of it. And then it gets even dumber because then a scene after that, there's a scene where there's an oil slick. Like they spill oil all over the floor and it's an oil slick. But they remember, wait, you used to actually be an figure skater. They take 2 knives, stick them in her boots, and then she figure skates in this oil slick and shoots these guys. And it is Aquaman 2 level bad CGI. And I'm just like, I hate to be this guy. I really fucking hate to be this guy. And I really hate to get worked up about this. But for Christ's sake, pay some fucking stunt coordinators. I'm serious. This shit is ugly. Get some pay.
You're pissing me off.
You are billion-dollar corporations pay some fucking stunt coordinators for Christ's sake. I'm sick of the CGI shit.
Tell me more.
I'm sick of it. You are too. It looks bad.
Oh yeah.
Have some fucking integrity in your work, and like again, that's another thing. I want to.
Everything fun about the Flash was completely ruined by the CGI. And there were
Yeah.
some fun moments in the Flash.
You know-
some really fun moments.
To tie it all back in,
Michael Keaton.
to bookend it and tie it all back in with Fallout. You know what made so many things I love about Fallout is how practical so many things were in that world, and tactile, and had 3 dimensions, had depth, had weight, had fucking light. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And when it's absent and you see shit like this movie's weird figure skating in the oil slick, and then another silly plot twist fight at the end, and I'm like, just end this fucking movie at this point. I hate it. Like, it went from, I'm really enjoying this, I don't see why critics hated it, and then I get to the third act and I'm like, oh, this is why. Because it crumbles under its own weight. Like, it is,
That's too bad.
fuck you, Argyle. And fuck you, Matthew Vaughn.
Hey, do we have the boo? Yeah,
You just hear my microphone.
I second it.
Yeah. You know what? I'll give you a little some. Tyler, we're coming to the close here. I want you to tell me something positive about your experience tonight.
Well, I interviewed one of my fellow
No, this fucking show.
artists
Not
earlier
what you.
on Twitter, and he was telling me about the first time he drove a car, and he ended up telling me that he almost smoked a Scientologist.
Like with a car?
Yeah, because it was in Florida. I can't remember the town in Florida.
Oh,
where
and
they
it's
have all the-
legal there to hit Scientologists?
Off panel, off topic with Jake and Tyler.